who is going to be talking about the origin of the hub health check. Allow me link this particular session to the previous session on localization. And as we talk about localization, central to this locally led network that we are all subscribing and building will be accountability. And when we think about the accountability structures, we are thinking about structures that are as close as possible to the people who are affected by disasters. We are thinking about structures that are locally led. We are thinking about structures that are informed by standards that are also aligned to some of the local principles and processes as much as possible. Hence, this Hub Health Check Committee. I will be inviting Shahida Suleiman from the Somali Humanitarian Hub. Shahida is also the co-convener for the Hub Health Check. And even as she comes to provide a bit of information on the origin of the Hub Health Check, I'll be requesting those of us who have joined us today, please feel free to put in your comments and your thoughts on the chat, and we should be able to respond to them and interact as the panel members get into unpacking these principles of the Hub Health Check. Shahida, I now want to welcome you, and we'll be requesting if the slides can be put up.
Right. Thank you so much, Joyce, and welcome everyone. As Joyce has rightly said, I am the Somali Humanitarian Hub Coordinator and also co-convener for the Hub Health Check. We're very excited to have this opportunity during the assembly to inform you more about who we are, where we've come from, and where we hope to go. I don't know if the slides are ready, so I can proceed. Perfect. Next slide, please. And the next slide, please. So, right. Just a little bit of background. I think usually when you're on a journey, it's really important to reflect in terms of how far you've come, where you've been, where you are at, and where you're going. So, Hub Health Check, the discussion, I think, I want to say, even before 2020, when the discussion on Hub Council started, there was the Start Evolve of 2017, where Start Network established a shared vision of network of networks. That's the overall goal. That's where we want to go, with a governance framework that delegates decision-making and accountability to the hubs as much as possible. Then in 2020, there was a governance design. And within that design is where Hub Council was conceived. Hub Council was essentially, the Hub Health Check Committee is essentially a precursor to that. That is where we are leading to. In 2024, so a fairly new entity, if I can call ourselves that, 2024 in Nepal during the Hub Health Check, the Hub Connect, we were established. We're a group of 6. As has been portrayed in the video, we come across very different geographical hubs. And essentially, what we want to do, or the biggest aim that we have, is to increase mutual accountability, support. We want to build trust, and we want to hold ourselves accountable to standards, and essentially increase integrity across the network. At the moment, we are working with the Board of Trustees, we're working with the Membership Committee, Risk and Compliance Committees, and also Hub Governance. Moving forward, we'll also be working with the Hub accountability mechanisms. So we're really looking forward to that. Next slide, please. Right, so this is a visualization of where we fall as a Hub Health Check Committee. If you can see to that would be my right. I think it's your left, but you have all the hubs, the members, and then at the very far left, you have Start Network Governance. That's the board membership, the board, the membership committees, the risk compliance. We sit smack in the middle. We see ourselves as a bridge. And as I said, in the overall network of networks, we will be a precursor to the Hub Council, excuse me. I hope you can still hear me. And maybe just to reiterate what the video had said, what are the principles that we're really looking to work around? We are talking about mutual accountability. We're talking about transparency, responsibility, openness, that there is equity and equality. Remember that at the end of the day, it's about shifting of power. And the video said it very well at one point. We are by the hubs, for the hubs, with the hubs. And I think that speaks true to what we hope to achieve over the next 2 years. Next slide, please. Right, so what's our vision as the HHCC, the Hub Health Check Committee? We envision a network of thriving hubs and a culture of accountability and ethical practice. We strive, again, to ensure transparency, address your concerns, promote continuous learning for a more impactful humanitarian ecosystem. We are an intermediary. I said we see ourselves as a bridge. We're a mediator. We will serve as an ombudsman, consolidate the learnings, advocate for improvement for the benefit of the hubs and the wider START network. The Hub Health Check Committee, we're not looking to duplicate any hub-specific accountability mechanisms or even what is already happening around accountability within START network. We're looking to complement, to reinforce, to strengthen what is already happening. Next slide, please. What is our scope? For now, the tenure of the Hub Health Check Committee is 2 years. Over the next 2 years, we hope that under governance and ethics, we're going to develop and monitor a hub code of conduct. How do we hold ourselves to a standard that we haven't set? So we are going to set those standards, align them to what our START network values. Then we say this is the document to which we're holding ourselves account to. And our role is going to continuously monitor that. Around accountability and dispute resolution, we're looking to promote mutual accountability. This is a shared responsibility. It's not a top-down compliance issue. It is about how are we mutually, collectively taking accountability at the heart of what we do, ensuring both hubs and START network are upheld and we hold ourselves to the agreed upon commitments and values. We see ourselves as a confidential point of contact. Here we're looking at member to member, we're looking at hub to hub, we're looking at hubs to START network, that you could come to us, like the video said, we're here to listen. You could come to us. We would offer guidance, would offer tools, resources, would be that confidential point of contact for you. Mediation, so receive and address complaints and concerns raised by the stakeholders. Again, our tag, we're here to listen, always open to listen. And then finally, on knowledge sharing and capacity building. So continuously supporting a collaborative environment where hubs can learn from each other's experiences. What are the best practices? And sometimes not just the best practices. What are the failures? What can we learn from where we failed? Where we have failed to meet the standards that ourselves have committed to upholding. And finally, our commitment to the hub development journey. So we are here to support those processes at every level for those who are just starting, those who are already very advanced. We are here as the Hub Health Check Committee to support those processes alongside START Network. Next slide, please. So who are we working with? This is just how will we work? So for now, we're meeting quarterly. We're meeting quarterly plus any ad hoc meetings. We're also going to be developing operational guidance and feedback systems. This has already been kicked off. We're going to be accorded administrative support from the START network platform. And also, we will ensure to uphold conflict of interest policy because we are the hubs as well. So how do we have that balance? Who will we be working with? I think biannually, we're going to work with the START network governance bodies. We're also going to be working with the risk and compliance. We're going to be working with the board to determine, again, we don't want to copy and paste. We want to add value. What is our added value? We need to find where our added value is. It's going to be a matter of shifting a little bit, but we are hopeful and excited that once we find that happy spot, Hub Health Check, I think, would be a very great building block, is a great building block to the Hub Council in the network of networks. I think my time is almost up. I'm not sure if I have one more slide. There we go. Thank you. Thank you so much. Joyce, I think I pass it back to you. Yes.
Thank you, Shahida, for the excellent framing. I still want to hope that We are all excited, just like I am, to see that this structure is forming and it's almost becoming functional. Allow me just recap a few things that have come from the conversation and the presentation from Shahida. She talks about trust. She emphasizes about mutual accountability. Sometimes we call it peer accountability. I do not know whether we can realize this and how we can make this practical. She highlights issues to do with equitable partnership, but most importantly, she reminds us that this is an important structure within the START network. It's a structure that when we move to the network of network, we are conceiving that the Hub Council will be able to grow from the Hub Health Check Committee. We want to delve a bit into the principles of accountability, looking at the START network vision, underscoring that we are looking at a locally led humanitarian system that is accountable. I want to now bring Sami Hamdi from the Afghanistan Hub. He's also a director of OSED, to really help us unpack this principle of locally led accountability, because this is central to the Hub Health Check Committee. How does this show up? How do we look at this from a practical perspective? And as I bring Sami into this conversation, just reminding us that we are looking forward to your contributions. What do you think the Hub Health Check can do differently? I think we are here to just be able to also learn and get your insights. But Sami, locally led has been really described as a key principle for the Hub Health Check Committee. What does this really mean? And how do we apply it practically in this committee?
Thank you, Joyce. Wonderful to be part of this excellent meeting today. My name is Samuel Ahmedi. I'm the director of OECD, also representing the Afghanistan Humanitarian Hub. I've been part of the journey that led to, and also the process of developing the Hub Health Check Committee, which was basically based on a conversation that started years back. So the principle of local leadership when it comes to accountability, it goes back to the network of networks vision for being accountable to the people. So the Hub Health Check Committee basically reflects the network's commitment to the people. So in the context of our responsibility and the universal acceptance of by all humanitarian actors that we as humanitarian actors, we're responsible to the people, and that when we design and when we check our health in terms of accountability to the people that we serve, we design the mechanism for accountability basically around that principle, which was not to create another mechanism for downward accountability. It was, how do we make sure that communities, local organizations, and also people that we work with are able to inform and also influence how we hold ourselves accountable to the people in the communities. So everything we talk about today here goes to the root of that collective vision, that collective agreement that we will be held, that we will be regulating ourselves, that we will be holding ourselves accountable based on the feedback, the consultations that we receive from the people that we serve. I repeat that we serve the people, and that the way they want us to be held accountable is basically reflected on the continuously living document that this Hub Health Check Committee is going to be, which is the terms of reference that was discussed earlier. Going back to the idea of why do we say it's a locally led accountability mechanism, is because I was involved from the beginning. Going back to the conversation that started in 2023 was, how does the network of networks hold itself accountable to the principle, the universal principle of accountability, and yet make it locally led and very rooted in the community that we work with. So that was when in 2024, the Hub Connect in Nepal, where all the hubs from the network came together and agreed on a set of principles. One of that was that the Hub Health Check mechanism is going to be locally led, not a top-down, but a bottom-up approach to how we work and how we hold ourselves accountable to the people. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you, Sami. I will certainly be coming to you at some point, but thanks for that framing. And I like that how you describe it. How does the network of network hold itself to this universal concept of accountability? We pick it up from there, and I now want to bring in Saeed Suleiman from Ready Pakistan. He's a staff member of Concern Worldwide, who is also part of that Ready Pakistan hub, and he serves there as a senior climate change advisor. And Saeed, I think a very key concept within this hub health check is about power dynamics. And I know you come from an INGO, and there's always been this feeling that INGOs still hold this power, they still hold the resources, they hold more capacity. But when you look at power dynamics and accountability, how does this show up, and how do you think this really needs to be reflected in the hub health check committee? Over to you, Saeed.
Thank you, Joyce, and other colleagues from this committee. I think you are right. There is a power imbalance at two levels. One is at the look to the most vulnerable people that we are serving, we are supporting them, and then to the NGO members or STAR network members and hub members, they have power. They control the resources. And again, between the hub members, look, we have INGOs and national NGOs, local NGOs. So different layers of the empowered balance situation. What is our role, what we can contribute, I think, to address these underlying causes of imbalance of power? We need, like we're working with all members to promote more quality and accountability principles, and giving them, advising them, providing them, and facilitating them with different kind of support to ensure that there is balance of power. And I think it's great to hear from most of the hubs or all of the hubs. Now it is equal participation of national and local NGOs and also international NGOs. And I can give you an example of Pakistan. So there's a 50% at the governance committee, and also at the technical sides, that there is balance between national, international, and local NGOs. Coming to the community level, I think this is our people that we work for them, and we are here all, to support them. This is what we need to promote, the standards of accountability, and work on the number of issues and advocate for them, because we cannot force something. We need to support them and promote the accountability principles, working through number of committees like governance committees and technical committees, and compliance committees of STAR network and the hubs also to ensure that there is a power balance, and also there is voice of everyone to be heard, whether it is local NGO, whether it is a national NGO, international NGO, or at the community level. So I think it's a good start. It's a good movement, I would say. And we will get good results, and still we are receiving good results, good feedback. And still we need to do a lot of work. We need to be more acceptable and provide support. We have different hubs with different capacities, so they need different needs, different support. Some hubs are leading, some hubs are about to lead, but it's very important. If there is no accountability, we cannot ensure people are accessing to the right assistance and ensuring proper quality anticipatory reactions and relief and early recovery programs. But again, it is voluntarily. We have new hubs, we have old hubs, so we need to also keep balance between them, how they can participate in the decision making at our level. But we are committed. All hubs members are committed to improve accountability and promote accountability at our level, the most importantly at the community level, because there are more imbalance of power, and we need to strengthen the accountability. Otherwise, we will not achieve the goals and objectives of the program. So, Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you, Saeed. I think you bring in quite a very useful insights, particularly from a governance perspective, how are we structured, but you also talk about the real need to really address accountability right from the community. I will still be coming to you because I think I'm keen to ask ourselves what feedback mechanisms really exist in our hubs, even as we talk about it being bottom up. And I know already Pakistan is just one of the hubs that is trying to ensure that they can really implement their accountability mechanism. I'll still come back to you, but allow me bring in Shahida to really and also help us try one other principle that sometimes really looks nice in theory, but can be very difficult to implement. It's the theory of peer accountability, mutual accountability. And I hear hub health check is for the hubs, by the hubs, and with the hubs. Will this really be able to give us the results and the impact that we are looking at to really strengthen integrity across the network? Shahida, it would be nice to hear your reflections, just urging the audience that we look forward to your own reflections, how accountability shows up within this network. What are the challenges, even as we work at different levels to really strengthen accountability? Over to you, Shahida.
Right. Thank you so much, Joyce. And thank you, Sami, Saeed. I think, Joyce, you've given me a very big task. I want to look at this, I think, threefold. Maybe sometimes in order to see whether you can achieve something, you need to understand what it is. So what is peer accountability? If I try to reflect, peer accountability is about coming together on shared commitments and mutual expectations. I think it's about, Sami has said this, Saeed has said this, it's not top down. That's the expectation, and that is what we hope Hub Health Care Committee is going to bring on the table. It is more of bottom up and across, not just bottom up, but also across, because it's the hubs. We are the network of networks. I think also it's about our shared values, our shared goals. And I think this is where, as Hub Health Care Committee, we're going to come back and tie it into a common code of conduct that we all subscribe to. Something else I think I want to talk about is why peer accountability? Why do we think it's, why peer accountability? And I think it's important because mainly it will help us to collectively solve our problems because we know what the challenges are. And as someone who is very pro-localization, I've been in this space for a number of years now, we always say local problems, local solutions. So Hub Health Care Committee is giving exactly that. It's telling us that these are our problems. We are the Hub Health Care Committee that has come from the hubs, and we are the ones who are going to try and collectively find the solutions to the problems that we're facing, whether it's between us members, between hubs, with us and the START network, etc. And I think through that, it's going to really foster stronger collaboration. I think it's really going to help us to learn because now we see ourselves as a collective, not as individuals. We're not removed from each other. We're glued together. Remember in the video, and I'm very biased here because I'm the co-convener, but in the video, we see ourselves as HHCC. We are an intermediary. So we're a glue, we're a gum, we're a bridge. That's what we hope to achieve. Also shared responsibility. Remember, accountability is about responsibility to ourselves and our visions, responsibilities to the communities that have given us the mandate to serve, our own responsibility to humanitarian law, to humanitarian principles, to START network vision and mission. So I think that also why it's because it will help us to have that shared responsibility. How? Joyce, I think, has preempted a little bit the discussion. How are we going to achieve this? I think I mentioned one of them. First and foremost is to have a shared code of conduct. What standard are we holding ourselves to? Because we could talk until our mouths are blue on what accountability is, but if we don't have a framework to which we subscribe to, it's useless. So what are those standards? Are we going to agree on the standards? And then how are we going to uphold to those standards? I think you also talked about feedback mechanism and feedback loops, and this is where I think as a Hub Health Check Committee, we're going to really come in across whether it's the individual hub accountability mechanisms or governance structures within Start Network, the board, for example, the risk and compliance, the membership committees. How are we gluing or merging ourselves or synergizing ourselves with all of these that exist? And what SOPs are we developing to support those processes so that it's not another layer that we are creating, but sort of tying those layers together. So I know usually in our sector, everyone's like, a new SOP, oh, something new we have to deal with. No, so I think, and this is the beauty of peer accountability, is that already there are systems that are in place. How are we coming together as HHCC to tie those together so that we are solving those collective problems that we have, so that we are learning and building those better collaboration, and so that we are continued, we have the continued gusto to hold on to our shared commitments and our mutual expectations. So I think I'll stop there, Joyce, and pass it back to you.
I like how you framed your conversation. We are talking about local problems, local solutions, local leadership, and local accountability. And I think you end by just reminding us that it's not just about a new structure. It's not about a new SOP. It's not another layer, but it's trying to ask ourselves, if we have shared values and shared commitments, how can we actually be able to hold each other to account in a practical and in a very meaningful manner? I wanted to still go back and zero to Said and ask, from a Ready Pakistan perspective, I'm fully aware that that is a hub that has made strides in developing their own accountability mechanism. How does this fit within the Hub Health Check mechanism and the overall network governance structures from a practical perspective? If you can unpack that, and then I could zero down to the rest of the panel members for other specific follow-on points.
Thank you, Joyce. Pakistan have actually started working in 2017 to establish the hub. And where we started, to have localization and shifting the power approach. So it was a difficult time because having, all international NGOs as a member of Start Network and sharing the power with the local NGOs, it was a big challenge for us, being also myself from international organization, but we managed, and thanks to all colleagues from NGOs and local NGOs, so they managed to sit together and share the responsibilities. And hard work done by the local NGOs, to be frank, and also by the NGOs colleagues. About the accountability within the country, so it was a commitment from the members and also from the steering committee, which is the governance body at this moment, that we need to ensure accountability and quality assurance at the Pakistan hub level, because now we are getting more members, so small, medium, and big level NGOs, how to ensure that there is a transparent and also an accountability mechanism within the hub. So we start initiating, discussing with the steering committee members, and also we have in-country assembly meetings, so sharing with the members. We had feedback, and we had like also the complaint response mechanism is drafted, but still we are working on this to further improve it and also incorporate the global level, the health check committee recommendations. It is not like a one-day work. It's not a month work. I think it is a long way to achieve the target. And having a huge members in country, so we need to have a number of consultation. And one of the CHS requirement is that any accountability, any complaint response mechanism should be in consultation with the members and the people who are affected by the disasters. So this process is going on, but we are getting a lot of improvement and good inputs from all members and the governance body.
Thanks, Thanks, Said, for sharing that example. I know there's been quite a lot of member consultation, thinking through how this structure will work and letting us know that the hub mechanism will function. Then you have a layer of the hub health check, really to be able to come in to resolve matters that are not resolved at hub level, matters that really reflect on peer accountability aspects. We are glad that we have ready Pakistan we can be able to learn from, even as they go ahead of the rest of the other hubs in this particular journey. I wanted to zero down to another very interesting question at the chat, coming from Code NGO, and I'm tempted to bring you Shahida first, then I'll bring in Sami to also reflect on this. But what standards are we really upholding when we talk about it and acknowledging that these hubs are diverse in very many ways, geographically, culturally, from a humanitarian perspective, there's quite a lot of diversity within the hubs. So when we talk about a common code of conduct, how do we see this happening from a practical perspective? I can bring in Shahida, then Sami can come in to wrap that up.
Right. Thank you so much, Joyce. I'm going to go back to what I first said in terms of what is peer accountability. We talked about shared commitments and mutual expectations. And I think what we can all agree on is that as various START network members or hub members, we subscribe to the START network values of people first, that we are brave, we are a collective, we are inclusive, we're open, we're ethical. So we already have a basis of commonality that binds us together, that brings us together, despite our differences. And I think when we were even discussing the issue of the code of conduct, and very valid question, how will this make sense in Guatemala and make sense in Somalia and make sense in the Philippines, for example? And what we said is that there are those values that are going to be fixed, that we say, these are non-negotiable. These are our principles, what we hold ourselves to. We're all humanitarians. We're all here to serve our people. We're all here to work as a collective, to be inclusive, to be open. And we have the shared responsibility to continue to work ethically, right? And then we have those components that are going to be flexible, meaning that it will depend on how we will contextualize those in the Philippines, how we will contextualize those in Somalia, how we will do that in the Pacific, for example. So we are cognizant that one size fits all will not work, but we will have elements that are flexible, and we'll have certain elements that are going to be freestyle. So these will be under the full discretion will be on those who have the decision. We will essentially, what will happen here is that if in Guatemala they feel that this needs to be added, it will be freestyle for them. There is that code of conduct we cannot veer from, that is a fixed, but there is that which will be contextual for us depending on where we're from. And more than that, the development of this code of conduct is going to be participatory. It is not just going to be the Hub Health Check Committee that sits in a room for 2 days and then says it's this, it's this, it's that. No, it's going to be participatory because, again, we are from the hubs, we are by the hubs, we are with the hubs, we are the hubs. So we will come back to our hubs to say, look, this is what we're thinking. What do you think? This is what we're thinking. And you have the space to push back, because at the end of the day, we cannot agree to what that standard is. Then it will be difficult to uphold ourselves to that. Over to you, Joyce.
Shahida, you have crowned it very well. We are the hubs. We are the Hub Health Check Committee. Sami, I'm really keen to bring you at this point, because diversity, and when they talk about hub diversity and how we operationalize solidarity in diversity, the Afghanistan context is certainly very unique, and keen to just hear your own reflections on this.
Thank you, Joyce. Just to build up on what Shahida just said, is that the health check is basically based on a set of principles that are pretty universal, and the member hubs agreed to a common commitment and a vision to those universal principles. And then there is this space where individual hubs could contextualize and localize how those principles are implemented at their specific contexts. So that clear division of set principles, and then the area where the hubs could then assert their context, that's what's really good and unique about the mechanism. And because it brings diverse hubs together, it's not just a checkbox exercise for any hub or any organization. It's more like the hubs learning from their experience and then holding regular meetings and then basically informing the whole network of potential risks, of potential areas where the other hubs could anticipate the same areas, and that exchange and support of experiences and learning is probably more important because it prevents any risks to our abilities, and also potential areas where those principles could be jeopardized by different contexts. So that exchange and support is really, and that exchange of best practices and also learning is probably what really sets this mechanism apart, because it connects Afghanistan to an experience that is a decade old, where established hubs have this really strong established community accountability systems. They bring that and connect it to the whole collective commitment and vision. And then each hub that is being onboarded is learning, is not basically, basically it's improving and future-proofing each hub. But again, at the same time, as Shahida said, it's also enabling hubs to shape the system and enable it. And that's how I think the collective commitment keeps lives both within the hubs, but also as a collective of all the hubs, where I would call this mechanism that we have more like an exchange, learning, and support mechanism, because that's one of the key function, is that we learn from each other, and then we add that learning and exercise to our list of which areas to watch. And I think that's like cascading experiences and also learning from each other. And I think that's key. And now that's really one of the biggest incentives for hubs to connect to this mechanism, both learn from it and also contribute to it using their experiences. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sami. I like how you unpack and take us back, because when you look at accountability, most of the time people look at accountability from a sanction perspective. I like that you have really emphasized that this is an incentive. There is an incentive to learn. There is an incentive to connect. There is an incentive to support each other in this journey as hubs are developing. And keeping along that line, there's an interesting question around learning. And because learning is one of the areas that this Hub Health Check Committee wants to take forward, and conscious of time, maybe a minute each, how are we taking learning and how are we encouraging hubs to really take learning forth, not just within the hub, but with other networks and with other platforms around? And how do we see the Hub Health Check positioning itself to really help drive learning within this network of network? Conscious of time, and I would like to start with Saeed, then Sami, and then Shahida, if you could be able to take that up as you help us wrap up this session.
Thanks, Joyce and my colleagues. Actually, I think we should be thankful to Start Network colleagues that they are open, to share, to get their power, in each, like, I'm mostly engaged in most of the activities, and I can see how the power shifting is going down to the hubs. It's also providing us a platform for the lesson learned and also sharing information and learn from each others through number of events. And also there is all hubs meetings, so they share with each others continuously. And also there are events organized for the all hubs, sitting all in person and sharing the learning of each other hubs, and also talking about the challenges. And I think openness is also another important aspect of this forum, that we are mostly open and we share the challenges and explain to the colleagues, and we learn from each other. So also we are talking about that, look, what went wrong, we should not repeat, what went well, we should learn from each other's. So it's a good platform, I think, provided by the START network to the members and to the hubs, to share and bring global good learning, good experience, and accountability on technical side. Like I mostly engage in the technical side also. So anticipatory is like it is the START network, baby, that we established in most of the countries. So this is, I think, it's a good learning for the NGOs, for the local NGOs, and for the international, for the national NGOs, to share the learn from the START network. Thanks,
Thank you, Said.
Joyce.
That's the good insights around how we can take learning. And Sami, a minute, and then Shahida will wrap it up for us.
Thank you. Let me just add that because the hub system is of course, it comes from diverse backgrounds and also diverse actors, diverse problems. But I think there's unity involved in terms of vision. We all agree to a set of principles, and that's a collective commitment, and the collective vision that we want to be held accountable in, that we want to be with the people, that we're people-centered. I think diversity on the ground, and also the different tools that will be used to realize these principles. But I think at the heart of what this mechanism does is brings about uniformity around those shared visions and that shared commitment and that collective agreement that we will do the right thing, and that we will make sure people know how to hold us accountable, and that we not only put these in a document, but actually create working groups, like create exercises, bring about global experts, bring about the best learning tools.
Now.
Yeah. Yes. So
thanks,
let me
Sami.
just say that uniformity is key, Scott. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sami. Uniformity is key. Shahida, if you can help us wrap up in a minute. Thank you.
Right. I'll just pick up from where, and as wrapping up from what Said said, that learning is already happening. Ours is just to tie it. How are we tying it in? This is already happening across our hubs, across our regions. And to reiterate, I think what you said at the beginning, and also to wrap up, is that Hub Health Check Committee is here to listen. Remember that our principles are what are bringing us together. What we discussed today, it's about shifting of power. It's about us being locally led. It's about the mutuality of accountability. This is not top down. It is by the hub, for the hub, with the hub. It's nothing new. We're not looking to create something different. It's about how we will tie it all together seamlessly. Again, thank you so much for participating. I realize that my time is up, and we hope that we will continue to engage on the HHCC. You have our email, healthcheck@startnetwork.org. Feel free to reach out to us. Thank you again so much.
Thank you, Shahida. Thanks to Said and Sami, and thanks to all of you who joined us and for the insights. We'll wrap it up there.
Right, bye everyone.